Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Quick Tip Tuesdays. Today I'll be talking to you guys about sound design for drum and bass synthesizers in Serum. First off, let's take a listen.
For the rec list.
Let's first talk about the foghorn sound. Let's first start with the sub oscillator. I have tuned down this one octave. I am now turning on oscillator B. I am using this high sound from oscillator B with no level to modulate oscillator A. I have used a high unison number for stereo width and some slight detune. Here I am using envelope 2 to modulate the amount of FM from oscillator B. This gives the synth a much more aggressive sound and also helps give the overall sound some movement. One of the key parts of this sound is that it descends in pitch over time. This gives the synth movement. To do this, I'm going into Serum's Matrix tab, setting LFO2 to affect the master tuning of the synth, and then using the slider to adjust the amount. In this case, I'm using -7 semitones. In this area, we can draw out the pattern that we want our LFO2 to follow. For this sound, I'm using 1.5 bars, as that's pretty much how long it takes for the sound to play. Now, let's move on to the filter. This is where the majority of the movement comes from. The difference here is instead of altering the pitch and note of the sound, we are adding or cutting frequencies to or from it. To recreate this sound, I would recommend using a low-pass filter, 18-24, but for this synth, I used Combs filter for some added frequencies and texture. Half of the filter's movement is controlled by LFO1. This is set to a rate of 1/8 a note, triplets. To control the filter using LFO, simply click and drag LFO1 on the filter cutoff control. The other half of the filter's movement comes from envelope 2. This is very important to the sound as the envelope quickly opens the cutoff, allowing the high frequencies through. The envelope then quickly turns the cutoff down smoothly, by which point the LFO kicks in and creates a wobbling effect. Here is what it sounds like with just the envelope after altering the filter cutoff. Here is the sound with just the LFO altering the filter cutoff. Here is the LFO and envelope working together. Now I will talk to you about repeating pluck sound that comes after the foghorn sound. Starting with the same waveforms in oscillators A and B as the last sound, detune oscillator B by 7 semitones. I'm using the same technique here for modulating the filter, but at this time only using LFO1. This time I have chosen a shark fin pattern so that the filter ramps down, creates short staccato effect. By changing the rate of LFO2, we can change the rate of which the pitch of this sound increases or decreases. If left to off, the LFO will be running in the background regardless of the note playing or not. This can be used creatively for a note to continue rising pitch without the note having been played constantly and then bounced out, and then re-chopped, re-sampled. This allows for more creative freedom when arranging the track and adding development. For this rising sound before the drop, I have altered the decay of the pitch modulation, so it climbs much more in the pitch, creating more tension for the drop. By changing the pitch of oscillator B to -1, I have managed to achieve a slightly different timbre of this sound, which was useful for later on in the track. All that's left to do now is add a fat sub-layer with a low-pass filter and then some punchy drums. Classic 90 rave piano and vocal samples.
You wanna check this fuel for the wreck list?
Intense laser rises to add energy.
You wanna check this fuel for the wreck list?
So in this week's episode, I have gave you a quick look inside of the drum and bass sound design using Serum. Hopefully this tutorial has taught you a couple tricks that you can use in your own dance music productions. If there's any topics you would like to see in future episodes, let us know by leaving a comment below. That's all for this week's episode of Quick Tip Tuesdays. Join us next week for more.